a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange.
But you're one of the crowd. A vision of weakness, you're dull, but your voice is so loud. I'm the butt of your joke, cause that's all more girls you hang round. You killed to make your imprint on my soul.
Good evening, welcome to nufc Matters with me, Steve Ray at the Fans Forum. George is with us, Darren, Sam, Alan, Spenny, Barry and Kevin, and he was here before and he's back again, is Ian. Good evening, everybody. You've just done that, so you get it. He's actually put Chippers further forward on the screens there. Or Chippers, you've been promoted. As always, plenty to talk about in the next hour. I have been asked to remind everybody on the platform to be quiet when other people are talking by the moderators and people who joined me for me live chat the other day. People can't hear at home if you talk over people. Yeah, Barry, you know exactly. No, Spenny doesn't do it these days. It's usually other people. But
I'm sorry.
There you go. He's done it again. Okay, George, 1-0 against Fulham away. 3 wins out of 3 against Fulham. Another team we've done the double over. Give us your view on that game at the weekend.
Well, I could be quite smug and say I got the score right, but I'm not going to be.
No. Hey, take credit if you get the score right. You get the score right.
Oh, yeah, but I said it would be a messy 1-0. Well, I didn't think it'd be as messy as that. Lots of good things, but. It got out. We got out of jail card in the first half, really, and thank goodness Fulham just went back into their shell. I watched one of the Fulham games where the beat was at Tottenham or Chelsea 3-1, Tottenham, I think, and I couldn't understand them myself how that could happen, and even less after I seen the way they played against us, and then I realised what it was. The manager gave it away at the end of the game. He was complaining like mad that Newcastle had stopped his team playing. Oh, how sad. Isn't that awful? We stopped his team playing. We broke that game up for them. Oh, poor man. What the hell is he in football for? He would do it to us if he got the chance to. It's just that we did it first. And once we got to half-time 0-0, I was convinced it would be ours. The other things to come out of it, including the first half, if Eddie Howe attempts to shift Dan Burnt the fullback after the way he's played centre half since he's had to move because of these injuries, then I worry seriously about his head and all, because Dan Burnt has been absolutely phenomenal. Not only his own game, but the way he guides the others as well. And frankly, him and Charles take some moving as a centre back pairing, because they're great together. Even when if Botman was fit tomorrow, he'd struggle to get into the team at the moment. So all of that was brilliant. But there were so many things in the first half that Fulham really could have capitalised on, and they didn't. Thank goodness they didn't. Dubravka made 1 or 2 saves, but still not 100% my goalkeeper, unfortunately, and happy about the way all the young'uns that were in the team performed. You know, Hall wasn't overrun by the person he was in. The worrying one was Kraft. Willen just run the legs off him. Was really, 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 really bad. And as I say, got out a jail card for us. So, but second half, don't know what Eddie did, whether he made them eat 3 Weetabix or something at half time. But when they come out, they were a different team.
Yeah, I tell you what he did, George. He gave them a bollocking on the touchline, mate. That's what he did.
Yes,
he actually stood in the drinks break, which is there for Ramadan, and he basically bollocked them in front of everybody. And he said it. He said after the match of the day, which I watched the next day. The reason I did that is because the players just didn't get what I was wanting from them. And he says, I could understand why some of them weren't like that. He says, but it wasn't acceptable. And he says, I got a reaction and that's why I did it. So fair play to him.
And yeah, absolutely. And you know, I was about to say that the manager deserves all the credit for that because it clearly was him that made the difference. I'm quick to criticise him on other things, but I couldn't on that. And then we got into the game, and it was ours once the substitutes came on. Barnes as an impact substitute is going to be a great star, and isn't it a change to have somebody who is supposed to be a left winger who can cut in from the left and hit the ball as hard with his right as he can with his left? I mean, that's music to my ears. He's going to be a player for us. Gordon, throughout the game, even in the first half, worked his socks off. What an example of the others. And once Anderson came on, he showed his maturity as well. Where he could, he took the game by the scruff of the neck. And I'd be disappointed if he doesn't start in midfield next game because he really was capable of holding the midfield against players who are far more experienced internationally in all sorts in football. I wanted to stick to the football, and somebody's reminded us about the disallowed goal and about lots of other things. The referee was rubbish throughout the game. A fairly new referee, and by God, he showed it. But then how on earth they could sit for 5 minutes looking at all them slow motion replays and decide that wasn't a goal is. I mean, everybody in that dog, even the opponents in the ground, knew it was a goal, but not the VAR team. There's something seriously wrong at Stockley Park. There's no doubt about it. They've either got somebody in there that's got a black and white dolly sticks pins in or wherever it is, but they don't ever do us any favours. But that was an appalling decision. It just was just beyond belief that it go like that. It baffled a lot of people, Ian, and even the away supporters and the opposition manager had to dodge the question at the end. He was going to say it was a goal, but he knew it was a bloody goal. But never mind. So yeah, it's hard not to just stick to football when something like that happens. But I've got to say I think that's the third time in a short period of time we've had a new referee, somebody who's only doing his 6th or 5th or 8th match, something like that. Well, it showed on Saturday to me. He really allowed anybody that wanted to say something, he just allowed them to do it. And Fulham, of course, took great advantage of it. Never stopped bending his bloody ear. I just wish there was a few. The one thing I worry about our team, I don't worry, but it's noticeable about our team. We don't have many players who are streetwise, in my view. The ones that can quietly have a word in the referee when nobody's looking and all that sort of thing, and put their foot on the ball to stop a quick free kick. And we seem to get caught like that. We don't seem to have mastered the art of the dark arts of being difficult, being awkward and on the quiet. Streetwise, they used to call it, and that's where I'll stick with it. But great 3 points. And if they can't kick on after that, bearing in mind we're back to our injuries plus now, even so, with the players we've got in the squad and sitting on the bench now, and the teams have got to play, we've got a very good chance to pick up more points and make the season quite a good one, better one than we could have imagined. But sum it up, first half, get out of jail card was played and we took advantage of it. Second half never looked like losing. There was only one team going to win it in the second half. And great for Anderson and others played. And at the back, well, Byrne and Shaw, centre-back pairing for me. And if Eddie Howe shifts Dan Byrne back to full-back after this last few games, it would be a sin. It really would. So there you are. That's my candid assessment.
Okay, Darren, your thoughts on the game of the weekend?
First off, everybody were all rubbish. Well, shocking. There was not a player who stood out. Was like, was just there for the. You could have to be there. I'm glad Eddie Howe bollocked them because they needed to be waking up. The second half was a little bit better, but one. Mr. Vorman got involved again. So very controversial decision that was. Eddie Anderson come on. I prefer him as the impact sub, like Harvey Barnes. I don't think he's not good enough to start from this. My opinion. All depends how Joe Willock is. I hope he's okay. Bruno got a goal. Good to see him scoring. But I don't know, like I was so frustrated, like just the performance that turned up and first half was just one. I don't know if Fulham had any decent players, they could have been 3-0 up, 4-0 up first half. So we could have been dead and buried, and then we could have been. I felt sorry for Fulham. I don't think we deserved the win. To be fair, so I think we've stolen 3 points from them. So I'm buzzed with that, but just feeling like I know George Dan Burden. You think about before he was him and Shaw. I think Shaw prefers Botman. I do. I just think that Shaw's missing Botman. Big style. I mean, he knows how he plays.
We kept a clean sheet though, Darren.
I know. I just don't know. I just don't like. Something not right. I like Lewis Hall on the left hand side, mind you.
Yeah.
Dan Byrne's a better centre half than he is the left back this season.
I'll accept that. But I just think Shaw, by your personal opinion, I think Shaw prefers to play with Botman centre half. I think they're like that's his preferred partnership. But I would prefer and Lewis Hall. I am starting like he's getting better and better. Keep getting cramped, but is it that much fitness? But that'll come. So I was cringing when he playing Paul Dummett on mine the last couple of minutes. I'm very concerned he brought him for 9 minutes in case he gave a penalty away, but he didn't. But no, overall we've got to away with it about 3 points. So I'm happy to bring on Tottenham.
Okay, you didn't sound happy, Darren. Chippers.
Never does.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think the performances at this stage of the season are relevant. It's a case of getting the 3 points. I mean, there's a team that played Liverpool yesterday who were absolutely bang average, but yet somehow got a point out of the game. So for all that matters is it's the points that gets you results at this stage of the season. The first half hour was almost like Eddie Howe went on the town moor and got 11 players and just went, then play a game of football because they just didn't recognise each other. There was no leadership. There was nobody wanting to put the foot on the ball to take the sting out of the game. It was frustrating to watch. And, when you saw Murphy and that swan about, I just thought, oh, no, they're not up for it today. And then, lucky enough, we had that break and it just, Willock going off as well, I think, helped because he wasn't at the races. You can carry, obviously, since then we know he's injured. Anderson coming on made a big difference because he got the ball down and he kept the ball and he just took the sting out with things. And then I think after half an hour, when changes sort of made, they ran out of ideas. They just once they realised they're not going to score, I think that was it for them. They thought the game's over and it was only half an hour in, which fair enough if that's how they want to play it. Bruno then got in the second half. Bruno got his foot on the ball to control the game. For me, the disallowed goal should have stood. I didn't see a foul. I don't know if anyone else thought that, but I didn't see a foul. So justice was turned when we scored the goal, and I thought second half we looked pretty comfortable. I think Fulham had one shot in the second half, and that was it. They had so many corners and set pieces, but the deliveries were awful. And I think it was perfect for Dan Burn because that's what he likes, aerial challenges. And it's no coincidence, though, since Eddie made that change against West Ham when we were 3-1 down, he's put Burn at centre-half, he's brought Hall on and playing at left-back. We've only conceded a penalty goal against Everton, and that half hour against West Ham we didn't concede. Obviously, the penalty against West Ham we kept a clean sheet against Fulham. I know they didn't have their shooting boots on, but it shows you play players in your right position, you'll get the better out of them, and that's what's happening. Also, we've had 45 minutes of added time in these 3 games altogether this week. We had 19 minutes of added time against West Ham, we had 13 minutes of added time against Everton, 13 minutes on Saturday altogether. So the fact we're playing an extra half of football on top of these 3 games, you take 7 points out of 9. Disappointing it could have been 9, but 7 points out of 9, it's put the pressure on everybody else, and teams are feeling it, I think. And listen, I don't care about the performances now between now and the end of the season, but if you get 3 points and you win games of football, that's all that matters. And the way I look at this Saturday is, yeah, we weren't great, but there's still gears to go up. I thought Isaac wasn't great, but there's more from him. I thought Gowan was good, but I think he can still go up again. I think there's players out. Bruno I thought was good, but I still think he can go up with a couple more gears. So, listen, I watched Spurs last night. I didn't think they were anything special. I thought, if anything, Forest could have been 2 or 3-1 up at half time, but it's going to be a different game on Saturday, of course. So, hopefully, maybe we'll have 1 or 2 back. Fingers and toes, but we got the job done on Saturday, and that's all we can ask for at the moment.
Jimmy Aldworth agrees with you. He says it's not about the performance, lads. It's result that's more important at this time of the season, onwards and upwards. Yeah, I'm positive, and quite rightly, as Chippers points out as well, 7 points out of 9. Would have been better if it had been 9, but listen, 7 points out of 9 has put us right back in amongst it, especially with all the other teams dropping points. 2 points behind Manchester United now, obviously 3 points ahead of Chelsea. They've got a game in hand, but they need to win that by 10 clear goals to get above us. So from our perspective, we're in the driving seat, which is where Eddie Howe wanted to be. Kev, it's difficult really for you to tell us how and why we're changing things at the minute, because it's not even in Eddie Howe's control. But you know, he's picking the team, he's putting the players in, and I think the point that Mitch made on the professionals was interesting. You know, he felt he's been watching Lewis Hall quite a bit, and he says I can see why Eddie Howe has probably took his time bringing Hall in, because he's still making a few little errors and a few little mistakes, and you know, maybe he's not as confident at left back as we all thought he would be. You know, he is probably more of a midfielder, but he has been playing well, Lewis Hall, and a clean sheet for him.
Yeah, and for the full back 5, you know, that's always confidence going in, you know, and I agree with most who said Dan Burns a centre-half, and when he's played there, he's looked like a true centre-half, head it and kick it. I mean, it's basic as it sounds, but that's what his job's to do. He's not an attacking left back. He's not a modern day left back. He just can't do it. We've seen that Lewis Hall can do that. He can go both ways, essentially, up and down the wing and this and that. But again, that's the quality, what we're looking for further down the road from Eddie Howe's coaching in terms of Hall. Can he get the end product of a cross or a finish? But that's down to Eddie Howe and his coaching team, and down to the player to actually execute and all that sort of stuff. So, look, at the end of the day, players need games, and to develop that relationship with your inside centre half, your player in front of you, and all that sort of stuff. So it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. He's not going to be a Roberto Carlos remoting down that left hand side, scoring goals, creating chances, or whatever. It's not going to happen. You know, he's only I can't believe he's only 19. He looks 12, but he's only 19. You know, so he's still got a long way to go in his development. And so we'll see where it goes. I thought he was. I would give him a good 6.5, 7 out of 10 Saturday at the weekend. But you know, there's still a lot of room for improvement for the lad. So, but yeah, it's just nice to see a bit of balance in the back four rather than playing not saying Dan Burns not left-footed, but he would always tuck in, so there was always an imbalance across when we go to a 3, when Trips goes down the other side. But this time, you had 2 going. You had Kraft going down that, so that you were left with 2. So again, that's what he's got to learn of when to go, how he goes, how far does he tuck inside. So again, Eddie Howe's got a job on his hands to coach him the right way, and he's, if you get a part of the England elite setup, not the 21s or the 18s or the 19s, England elite, which Lewis Miley's been a part of and all the rest of it, then you've got something about you, which obviously England see and what our coaching staff see. So yeah, it's positive for the lad, to keep a clean sheet. Might not have his best of games, but still worked hard, and got the old cramp at the end of it, which is unfortunate, but it happens. That's just part of football. But yeah, thoughts on the game. I thought it was very sloppy in the first half. Like back end, pretty much all of Everton, we couldn't pass and connect to each other. And I agree with Chippers, and you stole my comment. It was like we just picked somebody up on the way down to Fulham with a black and white shirt on, a pair of boots. And we said, "Oh, off you go, lads, and have a kick about." Because again, it was just so disjointed. Nobody knew what they were doing. Or they did know what they were doing, they just didn't know how to execute it, and it was just frustration. It was just very frustrating because I thought Fulham played very, very good football. They're very good. They're very easy on the eye to watch, and I use the term a lot. It's all fart, no poo. They just can't score. If they had a good centre forward, that game would have been over by half time, and that's just how it was because they created a lot of chances. They threw the kitchen sink at us. And we dealt with it. I don't know how well we dealt with it, but we dealt with it. They didn't concede, and that was the positive going into half time. Even at the drinks break or the whatever it was, the break in the midway through the first half as well. I don't see it as a bollocking. I use not your term, Steve, but it's not a bollocking. I call in our world, in my world, it's called a coachable moment. And that's when you get your players in. Yes, it might look like you get the bollocking, but you're getting told what to do. And you reiterating your points, what needs to happen. And ever since that point, we look better getting into half time. And then once into the second half, we controlled the game. And that's what I said last week, based on if we control the middle of the field, if we control the game with possession and apply general pressure against them, we will win the game. And that's what gradually happened. But it took who was it? Anderson and Barnes to come on, and all the substitutions at that time. And I agree with impact subs, but if they're an impact sub, why can't you have an impact from the first second of the game?
Yeah. Professional footballers.
Exactly. And so if you have I thought Gordon was a constant threat. And if you have Barnes on one side who was a constant threat, yes, it might not be an end product, whatever. But if you have Gordon driving like their left fullback or whichever side he wants to play on, which pushes him back because Robinson, the American fullback, he was their main threat going forward because our right side was struggling because Murphy I don't think he wanted to be there. Same with Willock. I don't think even Longstaff wanted to there, just didn't care to or look disinterested across the game. So I think if we have those types of players and pushing forward, then it puts the onus on them to defend versus us. Well, especially our right side, because I couldn't believe Jacob Murphy dropping in when he was meant to be pushing high, and I didn't get that. I didn't understand it. Why there was only pressure on one side, not the other side, when the danger was coming down his side. So why don't you press high and shift across as a group and force them inside where more numbers are? That was baffling to me. So again, it's just certain little things tactically, which then you put pressure onto Hall on the other side when the ball gets switched. Then he's going to get overloaded, which is done quite well and successfully, and they got down the sides. So yeah, overall, it's a brilliant win away from home, 7 out of 9, like we said. So again, we'll continue on. And like I watched the Tottenham game yesterday, I was flicking in between the Tottenham game and the Man United game, which were pretty much not boring, but it was a bit of a ball. If we play with a high intensity, or a more of an intensity at home, I think we can get after Tottenham because I don't think they're the greatest. I don't think the table doesn't lie, but the good side. But again, I don't think they could play with the intensity that what we can adopt and put on them early, especially away from home. And yeah, I think we can beat them. I genuinely do. I don't think they're the best side in the world. I just think they've just been fortunate with one game a week, maybe the FA Cup here or there, so the fresh and whatever. So yeah, I'm quite optimistic and positive this weekend. And just going to the referee really quick, he's only had 3 Premier League games. 2 were with Luton and 1 with us. That was his 3rd Premier League game this weekend.
Yeah.
And the decision, I'm still scratching my head about it. How can somebody as a defender going backwards, trying to flick a ball, looking like a flick a ball on, and Dan Burns coming the other way? There's going to be contact and being overruled and possibly influenced. What the lad said on the professionals, that being influenced by a more experienced referee to override his decision. So again, it's a learning process for him. We haven't got a referee, we haven't got a game. I don't want to bash on a referee, but at the same time, you've got to grow a set and have your own decisions and your own ideas about the game and how it should go, and because you control the thing. So, yeah, an infuriating game, I want to say that, but I'll take a scrappy 1-0 away from home in the Premier League.
Yep. Okay, Ian, your views on the game? Did you see it? Were you in transit when you were kicked out of the country?
Did I see it? Of course, I seen it. Well, no, it was good actually. The shout out to the Highland Paddy in Los Gigantes, as I learned it was called. Been calling it Gigantes for years. Just want to say thanks very much for Kev there. Does he need any oxygen after that? Because he never took a breath in that 15-minute monologue. He's stolen everything I was about to say. So why don't I just tell you about me holiday?
Keep it quiet then.
I know. I get the grief. I'm getting some in the chat today, and a little bit in the private as well. But anyhow, the ref was rubbish. Paul Charlton, I didn't swear and say he was shite. And the ref was terrible. We were worse for the first 30 minutes, if not first half. First 30 minutes definitely was some of the worst football I've seen us play under Eddie Howe. I know that Kev just did a fart analogy. I think he did, but mine's better. We couldn't pass wind. But they, I'll not say what they couldn't score somewhere. It was lucky for us that they, like Kev said, they had nothing up front. There's nobody going to, nobody looked like they could put the ball in the net for them. And if it wasn't, they could literally have been 4 or 5 up in the first half because they had some gilt-edged chances. We missed a few as well, but it's like game of 2 halves. I didn't think we were as good as I'm hearing people say in the second half. I thought we were okay. But obviously the changes that when the subs came on, Barnes wasn't his best performance, but Barnes seems to just scare his opponent because they don't know what he's going to do, but he does know what he's going to do. It's not like a Maxi where he might trip over the ball and then it comes to him and then flicks it over his head and does some JJ Kocher style stuff. You know what I mean? He's just direct and he changes games for me. He should be playing from the start. The only reason I think he wasn't playing and Murph is that he must still lack the fitness to do 90 minutes. That's the only thing I can think, because the day and night when he plays, I'm dying to see this private chat because everyone seems to be laughing. And I thought Anderson. I'm not reading that. I thought Anderson. How Anderson didn't start the game. I thought that was the decision that probably made us so bad in the first half, because, like we said loads, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with Sean. He's not right. He's lacking in confidence. He needs to be taken out. But who do you put in? That the young kid from City, everyone's saying how well he's playing. You know, give him a chance. Like, you know, we had to use Lewis Miley, and look how good he is now. You know, let's give him a chance. Like, you know, I'm not reading it because everyone's laughing. But and what was it? What was my other point? My other point was, yeah, Dubs was better, but for me, I don't think that Dubs. I don't think the back four's got confidence in Dubs. Last one, Dan Burn has been flipping
exceptional
when he's back in his position. All right, he the last game he wasn't as good as the game before, but he now he's playing in his position. Everyone slates him. He is a really, really good centre back, and he does what he needs to do, and he leads by example. And I'm not being funny. If he told me to do something, I'd do it. You know what I mean? Like, end of story. Go on, Al. You have a moan.
Very good, though. Very good, though, Ian. Alan, welcome back. We believe you've been on the injury list along with some of the team.
I've been on my sick bed for 10 days. I haven't been able to move when my leg injured it anyway.
It's even spreading to the fans now. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. It has, Steve.
Right, glad you're fitting well. Welcome back.
Well, I'm getting there. I'm off my crutches now, Steve. That's one thing. And slow road the recovery. But first off, I thought was dreadful. And was my prediction, you know, I thought we'd get beat 3-1. And the first half an hour, I thought, if Fulham had a striker, I thought it would have been come true. Might be a bit controversial. I can see why the goal was disallowed. But when I looked at it, did anybody notice not one Fulham player complained? No. Not one Fulham player complained. No. On the highlights, on the reels I've seen, even the lad who was apparently fouled, he never looked at the referee and shouted at the referee that it was a foul. And I always go on the reaction of the opposing players, and not one of them. They all look back to go heading towards the halfway line, and that to me shows that it was a goal. So even though Dermot Gallagher on Sky said it was a definite foul today on Monday, I thought still it was 50-50. It was. I can see why it was disallowed, but on our case, a lot of people say no, it's definitely a goal. But anyway, Dan Burn, great to see him in his proper position. The only thing I would counter that is the opposition. Now, when, you know, how long is Dan Burn going to be at the club, and how do you want him to be there for the long term? Because if he was playing at Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool and shutting them out, then I would say, yes, we've got a centre-half. But when you're playing West Ham, Everton and a Fulham, or, you know, mid-table teams, then you've got to counteract. He should be that standard, surely, that you want. So, yes, he's played well, but, you know, how long do you think Dan Burn's going to be here? That's how I always look at a player. If you shut out the big teams, then you've got a player. Like I say, great win. But like I said, I saw the Spurs game. I thought, the best striker ever played for Newcastle in your term, Steve, Chris Wood. Nearly scored a hat-trick.
Well, hold on a minute. You've stolen me thunder here a little bit, but I'm sure I've got a graphic of some description somewhere, mate. I'll find it. Bear with us. But yeah, go on. You can talk about Chris Wood on here.
But Steve, honestly, he should have had definitely a second goal. He missed from 2 yards.
2 yards?
Yeah, he should have had a second one, and he could have quite easily had a third one at the start of the second half. So
here we are. Well done, that man for talking about Chris Wood. Shot conversion, best in Premier League season since 2010-2011. Chris Wood, 41%, lads, ahead of Joe Willock, Papi Cisse, and Aubameyang. How good's that? What a player! And we let him go. Alan.
Yeah. So
I'm going to keep that for Malcolm on Thursday, by the way.
Well, you know, it's like you better put it up about Joe Kinnear passing away. Is he one of the best ever managers, Steve?
He wasn't, but he was a lovely guy. And to be honest, mate, he was somebody who was a football legend. You know, he won some wonderful trophies for Spurs. ultimately had some great stories, and I think I've mentioned it on one of the other shows already this week. But he did come here to do the managers do for me and coaches, the manager and coaches do. There he is alongside Ward Jackie Charlton, Keith Birkinshaw, Gordon Lee, and Willie McFall. And if you notice, everyone else is very professional. And Joe's looking towards the side there, and in his hand is a drink. He was never without a drink, was Joe Kinnear, but a man of many stories. And I thought it was nice of the club to give him a bit of a tribute, Alan.
It probably spotted one of the journalists he wanted to chin.
Probably Simon Bird, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes.
But good stuff. Yeah, tributes have been pouring in for Joe as well.
Somebody passed over, so congratulations to his family. But great win. I mean, it took now Spurs becomes a fantastic opportunity. Yes, I go on their podcast, and they're just as frightened as what we are of them, and the fact that a lot of them are saying, "I'll be happy with a point up here." So as though we played our B team on Saturday, we're playing well, and as long as we keep growing and picking up points, then we've got a great chance of getting into Europe, a massive chance. Because after Spurs, we've got Crystal Palace away and another opportunity maybe to get 3 points on the road. But I'll leave it at that. Let Spenny get on. But I'm over the moon at the result because I didn't expect it.
Big shout out to Tel Roth, goes home and away. Good pal of mine. He says, look at each individual player right now. How many are fully fit? I think to get the results we are getting is great. No matter how we manage to get them, I'll take ugly wins. Tel, 100% right, mate. Spenny, what's your views then? I had to wait a while, but we're in there
talking
now.
of ugly.
What's your views? Mate?
I'll just unmute myself so I'm not interrupting anybody. First off, absolute disgrace. Murphy must have gone to Aldi with a shopping trolley and came back because we never saw him. You had two left backs from Fulham on that side just playing tippy-tappy to each other. We got away with it the first half. End of the first half after the bottling and the talking with Eddie on the line, it seems though Gordon pushed himself a bit more. And I thought Gordon was the only one pushing himself in that half. But for Bruno, I thought Polina had him in the first half. He had him covered, and that's why we never saw much of Bruno. Second half, we came out a bit better. We gradually got better when we got the super subs on again, which in my opinion should be on in the first place. Anderson and Barnes, and that Gordon goes on the right. I don't know how long we can go on with this team Eddie puts on. Because Longstaff, for me, he's been like this for months. He should be in the team for me. I think Anderson should be playing with Willock. And that's my point of view. We scored a goal, yes, it was a canny goal. We should have had another goal. You can't go and head the ball in the box when there's a cross now. Because you get someone scores, it goes against you. There's another rule we don't know about. For me, Bruno, he's got one more game and he doesn't get suspended. So for me, that's player of the season for me because he's gone how many games now without a yellow card?
11 or something.
9.
Player he is in that midfield, always tackling in. He deserves it. But Gordon's been on a good season as well. But a lot of big Gordon, no doubt. But I'm pleased with the result. 3 points is 3 points, even though the result was terrible. It was just like the West Ham game first half against Fulham, just not in it at all. I think we need a big change. I mean, need players to come in like Anderson is going to give me the 100%, and Barnes as well.
Good stuff, Spenny. Short, concise, and to the point, but as always, good opinions. I'll probably put money on Bruno getting booked against Crystal Palace if he manages to avoid this yellow card against Spurs. It's worth a daft bet against Crystal Palace, I think. But we'll see. Barry, your views on the game of the weekend?
Yeah, I think the guys have pretty much said it all. I mean, it was the first half was absolutely terrible. Totally agree that Dubravka went down pretending to be injured, so Howe could have a right go at them, and it worked. He got it turned around and got themselves again. Agree with Spenny. I think for me, I'm struggling to work out why Anderson and Barnes aren't starting. I understand they're making a big impact coming off the subs bench, but it could be a totally different game if they were playing from the start because they're both full of running. It's dead easy to see. You could have Barnes on one side and Gordon on the other, and I think it would frighten the hell out of people because they're both capable of scoring. I think Gordon had a couple of chances that went just wide of the post, a couple of decent shots from range. So it's like you guys said, Steve. It's 7 points from 3 games. The way we're playing, did we really deserve 7 points from 3 games? Probably not. I think the Fulham game could have quite easily been a draw. It just we're doing all right. I mean, we're still within distance of getting European competition, which I wouldn't have believed a few weeks ago because we're really struggling. I think it's just we're finally starting to get a little bit of luck in our games where it's maybe not going all against us where it was before. It's a hard one, isn't it, with the defence? Because I think Hall got skinned a couple of times and got left for dead with pace. But it's exactly what Spenny said, that the people in front of him weren't tracking back. There was times when he was left totally on his own. Murphy disappeared. Gordon isn't the greatest at coming back and defending as well. I thought Dan Burn was outstanding. Exactly what you guys have said, that as a centre-half, he's much better than a left-back, and he just looked sound. I think alongside Shaw, they look confident together, and I think it rubs off a little bit on Dubravka as well. I think he looks a little... I don't know what it is between him and Botman. You quite often see them having a go at each other, and he seems to be a lot more settled with the guys they've got in there at the minute. And I think like it's been said before me as well, I think Spurs are there for the taking. I don't think they're the greatest team in the world. I think if we play it to form and we have a better day than we have done the last 2 or 3 games, why not? We could take it off them and then roll on towards the end of the season. But yeah, a great 3 points away from home when we didn't really possibly deserve it. I think a point would have been a fair result against them, so I was over the moon.
Just one thing I've added on there, Steve. What really got my goal up on Saturday was why did you not put Murphy on instead of Billy Dummett? It's happening. He's got Murphy on that bench. He puts Dummett on.
I think he brought him on because of what he did in the previous game. I think he's given him some minutes just to get his confidence up. As a couple of people mentioned that in the chat as well, I think it was because he gave the penalty away, and maybe they just felt, it's almost like a message to him to say, look, we trust you, and that's in the past now.
Imagine if that was his last game after serving the club so well over the years. That would be pretty shit, wouldn't it? You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying, Spenny, because had he given away another penalty or something like that, it would have been like, I know exactly where you're coming from. But I think that was probably why. I've got to agree with the people in the chat. But yeah, good point as well, Ian. Okay, we'll do the ads at the end of the show. I'm going to go with you, George, now, because there's a few people wanting to know what we thought of Minteh's performance at the weekend. Some of you will have seen it, others won't. Roy Watson says Minteh scores another 2 great goals at the weekend against Ajax. Does the panel agree we should bring him back in the summer? Steve Middlemas says, do you think Minteh will be in the squad next season? He's having a blinder for Feyenoord. And we had another one from Alan. Minteh costs 7 million. Either he's in our squad next year or he's going to make us a fortune. I watched him yesterday. He had a stormer, 2 goals, 1 assist, subbed on 65 minutes to a standing ovation. 10 goals, George, for the young'un, and 9 in the league, 1 in the Champions League. Should we bring him home now and give him an opportunity and let him loose in the Premier League, do you think? And maybe sign Chris Rigg from Sunderland and send him to Feyenoord? All right.
If we're doing what we're doing with him, why we got him at all? Because he's now at a stage where he's ready to play proper football, not boys football. If he's not ready now, then he never will be. I mean, what's the difference between playing him in the first team and Lewis Miley, who's 17, for God's sake? Everybody's raving about that game. Well, you want to go back and look at the other games he's played in over there since he's been over there. He's been sensational, absolutely sensational for me. So it is, and that's the key for me is if it had been a one-off or a lucky game because he got a couple of goals, it's not. He's been sensational playing for them. So if we don't bring him back and use him, then what the hell we're doing with him? If we really are wanting to develop the kids, we've got to make sure that there's space in the squad. Yes, he's got to come back and go into the squad as far as I'm concerned, because the Dutch league is not a soft touch. And as I say, if it was a one-off, yeah, you'd say, yeah, maybe. but it's not. He's been sensational all season, and that's not a one-off by any means. So I'd be happy to see him. Before I stop, can I pay my own tribute to Joe Kinnear, please, Steve?
Yes, go for it.
Just quickly. Well, I wouldn't be here on this if it wasn't for Joe Kinnear. There you are. Why? Because I would have nothing to do with social media at all until I heard that horrible interview he gave with all the F words and everything in it. Can you remember? He gave that interview where
Simon Bird.
Every other word was a swear word. And I come home furious. I mean, I said to us, well, write and tell him. I says, how can I write and tell him? I've got nothing to do with it. He says, well, go on social media, man. You can do it like that and get it into the club. So I went on to every social media I could find and told them what I thought about Joe Kinnear. Mind, the people on TikTok and Telegram late at night were wondering what the hell I was talking about, because that's not what they talk about. but that's true. I really wanted to have me say because of what I heard him saying. So there you are. Thank you, Joe, and God bless you.
Darren Minteh, would you keep him next season?
Yes, I would, because I think it'll be a great addition. But all like your Man U, Chelsea, they buy players and they loan them straight out. So I don't think it was a good idea by the club by doing that, to give them good experience and more regular football. But I do think he needs to come next year and get in the team. We'll make get rid of Amron, so you get him Minteh and you sign somebody else. So yes, in all day next season for me.
Okay, Chippers.
Without doubt, he's an upgrade on Miggy. I mean, 10 goals and 9 assists. Can you imagine if he does that for us next season and he comes back, how much more points that could give us and where that could have us finishing? And for me, he's better than Miggy. So you get him back, you get rid of Miggy, and you free up some funds, and it gets you into that position that we may need to strengthen. So without doubt, you bring him back.
Kev?
Yeah, absolutely. And what Darren said, I think, and Chipper said, he's an upgrade on Miggy. And you've got to look at it from the 25-man squad perspective. He's a young man, so he doesn't qualify for that, which obviously frees up a space. And again, if he's the Dutch league's a Dutch league, but it's a very technical and very tactical, savvy league, and you've got to understand how they operate and how they play. Obviously, that's where the Ajax 4-3-3 came from, and the whole world's now playing it. So, yeah, they're very revolutionary. So you've got to take it for what it is. And when he goes to create one as a however old he is, and he's the youngest ever in history to do it in that game, and that'll go down in history and find those books. So he's got something about him for the big game. He's got something about him for the occasion. So but once he comes back, he's going to have a pre-season under Eddie Howe. So how's he going to adapt to that? But he's played in a very high intense type of way from their manager, because it's a very similar type of mentality and approach what he does at Feyenoord. So what's the worst that could happen? Why not? What's the worst that could happen? And again, you're paying minimal amount for something to be something special. You bought somebody in for 20 million in Miggy Almiron, who we thought was going to be special. He was kind of flattered to deceive and dropped off. Kind of get value for him, so you're still making money from that potential sale. I love Miggy as long as I've got a hole in my head, but at the same time, we can't be sentimental about things, and we've got to move on, and we've got to get value where we can get value across the board. And I think he'll be an ideal replacement for him. Yes, he might be an understudy early parts of the season, but he could force his way in and be a real impact, and that would be an impact player, not starting, essentially, and learn his trade in the Premier League and hit the ground running.
A lot of people saying he's not an upgrade in that way because he hasn't done it in the Premier League despite Miggy. I get where you're coming from. I think you mean he's a young player, he's up and coming.
Pro football, it doesn't matter what level it's at.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Jules says that's your new username to Barry Hogan, door-to-door salesman. There's a big inquisition going on in the chat as to why Barry has 2 doors behind him. People thinking he's collecting doors He's got 2 doors up his hinges. And my feeling is he's come in a drunken rage after a Newcastle performance, because he's always mortal on this platform, as everyone knows. And he's smashed all the doors up there. It's that dog that seems to blame. We've got a dog off now. Where's your dog, Darren? There's Darren's. Darren's stolen the Queen's corgi.
What is that?
Just gonna leave her alone.
So what's your dog called, Darren?
Honey.
And what's your dog called? Spenny. Spenny, what's your dog?
This is Baxter. He needs his haircut.
Baxter.
Hey,
Baxter.
Spenny, people say
I'll
the
get
dog looks like
I'll get you the dog with camera shy.
The dog looks like.
If people say
My
the
dog,
dogs look
you
like
don't
this
know.
one, look at Spenny's.
What's that?
What's yours called, Spenny?
Zena.
Zena. There we go.
Called Spenny too. Spenny Junior.
You've got
That'd be black and white as well.
Fantastic. If you've got a nickname for Barry, stick it in the chat. We've got one going. Barry 2 doors, says Steve. Bring your dog to work, dear, says Dave. Drunk again, Barry. Shocking, says Mozza. Shit too, Barry, is it?
Yeah.
Like Newcastle's first half performance. Okay, Ian Minteh, would you like to see him in the Premier League, or do you think another season out on loan?
I definitely want to see him back. Just before I go on about Minteh, I just want to say 2 things. Number one, I'm fuming with you because I was just about to say that, Steve, about his doors. I was thinking no one said it yet. Come on, it's in the bank. And then you chirped in and got in there before us. So a little bit annoyed about that. Secondly, I don't know whether anyone's aware. I've just been on holiday. I don't know whether anyone's aware. And I met 2 kids on holiday. This is Newcastle related, from the Isle of Wight. Top lads, Mullet Boy, as I call him. I call him the Island Boys, right? Mullet Boy. He had the worst haircut you've ever seen, but he was a massive Newcastle fan, and he seen me wearing one of my stupid tops, and straight away we had a good pee up with him. So I said I'd give him a shout out because he's going to watch back, and he actually wants to come on the fans forum as well. He's sound like he's a good lad. He's much better than Chippers anyway, and I got him on, so you know what I mean. It's an upgrade on Chippers. And his mate Lev, or as I called him, Jack, when his name's Zach, for about 5 days until his mum pointed out or someone pointed out. Anyway, so they're top lads. What was I going to say? Oh,
got lost.
I took some grief tonight, but do you know what it is, lads? I love it. Keep it coming. I'm here all week. Minteh should be called Minter because he looks mint. He's scoring goals. The point is, yeah, he's in a farmers league, or it's not the greatest league, but he scores goals against good teams. He was man of the match and 10 out of 10 against Ajax. You know what I mean? He scored a goal, and I think he had an assist or 2 in the Champions League. He's no mug. He's fast, and he's skillful, and he also. I get this from Tommy. Told us this. Tommy's like, I've been watching him loads. He tracks back. He wins all his duels, or the majority of his duels. I think in that game, I can't remember the stat. Tommy told us he won like 10 out of 13 duels, and he's everywhere. He's like he is exactly what Eddie Howe would want in a player. So he's basically like, imagine Miggy, but that can actually score goals. You know what I mean? Like when and season in, season out. So I disagree with yeah, maybe. No, fuck. Sorry.
I would.
No.
You're right. Moving. Alan.
Don't chuck us off.
Go on, hurry up then. You were going to insult me.
No, what with them peg legs?
Okay, you managed to say it. Go on, Alan.
Well, it's a no-brainer, really. Like that. So I think he should be coming back at least pre-season. I mean, we're being linked with a 21-year-old from Peterborough today, so why not bring this lad as well? So he's, he's been scoring goals for fun. Yes, and as much as I hear a lot of English fans say the French league's a farmers league, the Dutch league's a farmers league. You'll be interested to know, lads, a lot of foreign people class the Premier League as a farmers league as well. It's not a one-way thing where we're top of the tree and everybody's dying to get to the Premier League. a lot of European fans think our league's poor. So don't get, like brainwashed into thinking the Premier League is, yes, for us, it is the best league in Europe. But you've got to remember, a lot of players and a lot of fans from other leagues think our league's the Farmers League. So if he's tearing it up in the Dutch league, bring him back. I say it's a no-brainer.
Okay, Spenny, would you bring Minteh back?
Right, thanks, Alan, for tweeting and putting my name there, because I watched it yesterday, and he reminds me of the Man United lad who's playing at the moment, who scored yesterday.
Manu.
Yeah, he looks like him, to be honest. I think he's got a bit of talent, and like Kev said, you only show that talent if you get picked and put on the pitch. Doesn't matter how much experience you've got or nothing like that. It's the best thing to do when you've got a young one. Just put him on the pitch and see how he gets on. That's the only way you find out if he's any good enough for our league. Not by training and getting used to. He's not going to get any games, is he? So for me, yes, it's definitely yes. He'll be back up for Isaac, and maybe he's another striker we get in the summer. He Wilson Guns. If he gets his tip fixed anyway.
Barry, Minteh, would you keep him?
I would bring him back. I think he would be a good squad player. I totally agree with what some of the people are saying in the chat, that you shouldn't sort of shove him straight into the team. But I think I agree with the other guys again that he'll develop from being around better players. He'll bring his skills on. I think especially with what we've had with Isaac and Wilson picking up a lot of injuries, I think he would be a no-brainer to be a good striker to bring on the pitch. He's very quick. He's got lots of ability, but he is raw. He's one of these players who you think he's only going to improve, but for me, he would be a squad player. I think Fernand have made it obvious that they've signed somebody else to replace him anyway, so they're not expecting him to go back next season. The only thing would be is if we're going to send him out on loan, it would be to hopefully a more competitive league, maybe, if he was going to go out again. But yeah, I'd bring him back, Steve. I think he's definitely got something to prove, and I think he's got the ability to do it. He'll get better.
Okay, great stuff. Great fans forum. Thanks to Barry, Spenny, Alan, Ian, Kevin, Sam, and Darren and George. I'm back tomorrow night live.
Hey, everybody.
With Ben Jacobs. We're doing a live Q&A with Ben Jacobs tomorrow night. Wednesday, we'll see Talk of the Tune. That'll be a pre-record. And Thursday, Super Matt and Gibbo pré-record as well. And then on Friday, live, the three amigos with me, Steve, Mitch, and George. Thanks very much for tuning in. Take care. Good night.
Cheers, boys.
Good lads.
Cheers, everybody.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. Go to their website, skipsandbins.com. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com or telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Go to their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email info@mrvickies.co.uk or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to United Group Travel. Go to their website, unitedgrouptravel.com. Email info@unitedgrouptravel.com or phone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. They're a local company from Morpeth and there are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. Big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button under the video. Click the thumb up to like the video and click share to your social media. If you want to help the channel financially, you can pay a one-off £25 fee. You get a cup, a scarf, a pen and a membership card and entry into the NUFC Matters monthly draw. Email john@nufcmatters.com for more details, or if you've got a smartphone, scan the QR code now and it takes you straight to the membership pack. We also support the food bank on this channel. Go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk and you'll find the matchday bucket. You can make a donation virtually today. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. We also do events during the year. NUFC Matters Live will be at the O2 City Hall on Friday, the 2nd of August for an evening with Rob Lee, one night in Antwerp. Tickets start at £15 and you can get them from ticketmaster.co.uk. An evening with the entertainers takes place on Friday, the 24th of January, 2025 at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House in Newcastle. Telephone 0844 249 1000 or visit the website timetheatreandoperahouse.uk to buy tickets today. You can also catch me on the North East Footy Breakfast Show live on Toon Radio weekdays 7 till 9 a.m. on DAB, smart speakers and the toonuk.com.